Tonight on Global TV News Prime, Nigeria Police Force suspends nationwide enforcement of tinted glass permit policy following court order. In business, federal government unveils major fiscal blueprint aimed at accelerating economic growth. On the foreign scene, Israel accused of weaponizing aid delivery. And in sports night, world record holder Tobi Amusan leads 2025 world rankings. Hello and welcome to all our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime here on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe, reminding our viewers that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Let's begin tonight by telling you the Nigeria Police Force has suspended the nationwide enforcement of the tinted glass permit policy following an interim court order restraining the move. The force had announced that it would resume enforcement of the policy starting January 2nd, 2026, citing its responsibility to ensure public safety and internal security. However, in a statement, Force Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin said it was served with an interim order in a suit restraining the police from proceeding with enforcement pending the hearing and determination of the substantive suit or the vacation of the order. The first Friday of 2026 set the tone for the year ahead as worshippers across the Federal Capital Territory gathered for Jumat prayers, reflecting on faith, unity, and responsibility in a time of growing challenges and renewed hope. At the Central Mosque, the sermon delivered a clear message: spiritual renewal must translate into action. Sadiya Yakubu was there for Global Television.
The first Jumu'at of the year is more than a routine prayer. It is a moment of reset. At the Central Mosque in Abuja, worshippers listened as the Imam delivered a sermon focused on renewal, resilience, and purposeful living in the year ahead. With the festivities of the holiday season behind them, the message was firm and direct. Faith must guide conduct, decisions, and service to humanity, especially in uncertain times. The Imam reminded the congregation that a new year presents a divine opportunity to cleanse the heart, correct one's path, and recommit to righteousness. He stressed gratitude, self-reflection, and obedience to Allah as foundations for personal and collective growth.
These 12 months or regarded as a year by every human being, but only that the year or the name of the year differ in accordance with the understanding of people.
Worshippers echoed the message, noting that the sermon served as a timely reminder to strengthen faith, improve character, and remain mindful of responsibilities to God and society.
Brothers and sisters in Islam, as well as our neighbors, let us know that Nigeria is our country. It is our duty to protect this country of ours, to do all what we can to make sure we coexist among ourselves.
As the prayers concluded, worshippers left with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to bring the year grounded in faith, unity, and service. Sadiya Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Thank you so very much, Sadiya Yakubu. Festivities in Abuja continue as many usually busy roads remain dry with limited vehicular movement and fewer people on the streets. Correspondent Bongo Soro reports that many residents are still spending quality time with family and friends.
Weather can influence the mood, but in Abuja, residents remain in celebratory spirit as New Year festivities continue, resulting in dry roads across the city. Major roads and neighborhood streets across the Federal Capital Territory show reduced traffic, a clear sign of the holiday period. Speaking with Global Television, Abdurrahman Mohammed said many residents are still visiting family and friends and gathering at relaxation spots to enjoy the new year.
Yes, usually it's not a working day, it's a day people are supposed to rest.
Some residents say the reduced traffic and dry roads have made movement easier for those with vehicles, although it has been a bit difficult for people waiting for taxis to find transportation.
People are still celebrating the new year. This is a new year season, and several Abuja residents have traveled out. And then the few ones that remains are either indoor or just strolling around.
As the New Year celebration continues, Abuja residents remain hopeful and optimistic that by Monday, activities will be back to normal. But for now, the celebration continues. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
The National Working Committee of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, has dissolved its Kano State Executive as well as all local government and ward leaders ahead of the defection of the state governor, Abba Yusuf's defection to the All Progressives Congress APC. NNPP National Publicity Secretary Oladipo Johnson said the National Working Committee plans to establish a caretaker committee soon. The party's national leader, former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, and Governor Yusuf have been embroiled in a political crisis, with the governor reportedly on the verge of joining the APC, a move strongly opposed by Kwankwaso. The Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed January 7 to rule on the bail application filed by a former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SAN, his son Abubakar Abdulaziz, and his wife Bashir Asabe. Justice Emeka Winte today set the date after counsel for the defense, Joseph Daudu SAN, and counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ekele Iheanacho SAN, adopted their processes and presented their arguments. The anti-graft agency accused the defendants of carrying out various suspicious transactions and attempting to conceal unlawful origin of billions of naira through bank accounts and property acquisitions across Abuja, Kano, and Kebbi. The Nigerian Army troops conducting ongoing anti-kidnapping operations in Kogi State have rescued 5 abducted victims and recovered decomposing bodies during a clearance operation in Lokoja local government area of the state. The troops, drawn from Obajana and Kaba patrol bases, reportedly projected a fighting patrol to Akomi village in Andonkolo general area of Lokoja local government area following credible intelligence. It also reported that the patrol discovered that the village, previously occupied by bandits, had been destroyed and abandoned. Nurses in Kaduna State have issued a strong warning of a possible statewide strike in 2026 over the persistent failure of health authorities to conduct promotion exercises, a development that could disrupt healthcare services across the state if unresolved. The threat was contained in a New Year address by the chairman of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Kaduna State Council, Comrade Nurse Ishaku Yakubu, who expressed growing frustration over what he described as deliberate neglect of nurses' career progression by the Ministry of Health and some of its parastatals. He warned that the union would no longer tolerate delays that undermine the professional growth and dignity of nurses. With the dawn of a new year, millions of people around the world are setting goals, reflecting on the past, as well as striving for personal growth. However, as we step into the future, are our resolutions changing? Are they evolving with technology, social trends, and our collective mindsets? Sadia Yakubu finds out.
Across the globe, New Year's resolutions have traditionally centered on fitness, career goals, and personal happiness. But as we enter 2026, a new set of priorities is emerging.
My expectations should be, I'm expected to accomplish my goals. And one of my goals is to train children, to help them become what I didn't become.
As technology continues to shape our daily lives, another resolution taking center stage is digital well-being. In 2026, many are looking to reclaim their time, focusing on unplugging from devices and setting boundaries with social media.
My New Year resolutions, as you can see, is to be happy with my family and to be a good citizen to Nigeria.
While some are trying to avoid technology, others are using it to help them achieve their goals. From AI-powered fitness app to visual health coaches, 2026 is bringing us a new tools to achieve personal growth. But is tech making it easier or harder to stick to our resolutions?
I want my prayer life to be very strong because I was not really prayerful in 2025. So in 2026, I want to be very prayerful.
As we look ahead to 2026, it is clear that New Year's resolutions are no longer just about personal goals. They reflect a growing awareness of global realities, from sustainability and digital balance to mindfulness and gratitude. People are setting intentions that align personal growth with a healthier, more conscious world. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
Let's go to Benue State now, where Governor Hyacinth Alia has signed the 2026 appropriation bill into law, unveiling a spending plan aimed at repositioning the state's rural economy and driving inclusive growth. The budget prioritizes agriculture, infrastructure, and livelihood support. Correspondent Felicity Indere has the rest of the story.
Governor Hyacinth Alia has signed into law the 2026 budget of over 695 billion naira, with an increase of about 89.5 billion naira from the initial amount of 605.5 billion naira presented. The appropriation bill, initially presented at 605.5 billion naira, was reviewed by the Benue State House of Assembly and increased to 696 billion naira after legislative scrutiny.
This budget will be implemented with discipline, compassion, and results in mind.
Presenting the bill for assent, the Speaker of the House, Alfred Biga, said the adjustments were made to reflect prevailing economic realities and the policy direction of the administration.
We dedicated our time and energy to make sure that we meet the deadline for the passage of the bill. So we have seen in the budget hope for Benue people. We have seen in it more development for Benue people, and the common man on the street will also benefit.
Speaking after signing the bill, Governor Alia said the budget tagged the budget of rural development, livelihood support and sustained growth is deliberately structured to address long-standing infrastructure deficits in rural communities.
This budget is rooted in the realities of our present and guided by the aspirations that bind us to a greater tomorrow. At the heart of Benue lies a strong rural foundation that feeds the nation, preserves our culture, and anchors on our path to inclusive growth. For decades, these rural communities carried the weight of neglect despite feeding the nation. And with this budget, we make a bold declaration. The era of rural neglect is over.
The 2026 approved budget has over 313 billion naira as recurrent expenditure, while an amount over 381 billion naira is for capital expenditure. In Makudi, Felicity Indere, reporting for Global Television News.
In a similar vein, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has signed into law the 2026 appropriation bill estimated at about 1.4 trillion naira, describing it as a product of strong collaboration between the executive and the legislature. The signing ceremony was held at the new government annex Olu. Amarachi Ibe reports.
Governor Uzodinma said to the bill days after its passage by the Imo State House of Assembly, completing the constitutional process of checks and balance. Governor Uzodinma says the transition of the budget from estimates to law reflects democratic strength and commended the lawmakers for their diligence. He described the budget of economic breakthrough as ambitious, noting government's commitment to revenue generation, completion of ongoing projects, and sustained infrastructure development across the state.
So as a government, we work to generate the revenue and not spend the revenue. And you can see how ambitious this year's budget is, a signal that we must fasten our seatbelts to look for the money so we can spend the money for the people. So all the projects that are ongoing, critical projects in Imo State, we have no plan to leave anyone uncompleted before the end of our tenure.
Governor adds that the budget will boost small and medium-scale enterprises, attract investments, and strengthen revenue-generating agency. He thanked the president for providing the funds for states.
So these are the kind of things I want us to take note. And this budget is very comprehensive and detailed. This budget has taken care of, if well implemented, both the small and medium enterprises, local and foreign investors, and all the revenue generating agencies will have an environment to operate. This is the whole idea why it is called Budget of Economic Breakthrough. By the end of
the signing of the 2026 budget set the stage for a new fiscal year, with the state government expressing confidence that it will deliver measurable benefits to Imo residents. From the Government House Annex Olo, I'm Marachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
This is Global Television, and tonight you're watching News Prime with Uyi Agmofwegbe. When the rest of the broadcast returns, world record holder Tobi Amusan leads 2025 world rankings. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories for you on the other side of this break. Please, we urge you to stay with us. We'll now begin the second part of tonight's news broadcast with business. The federal government has unveiled a major fiscal blueprint aimed at accelerating economic growth, mobilizing investments, and creating more jobs this year in a concerted effort to stimulate rapid economic development. Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Doris Suzoka Anite, in a statement said the Federal Ministry of Finance would be the anchor for the comprehensive growth acceleration and investment mobilization strategy aimed at strengthening macroeconomic stability and positioning Nigeria as a premier destination for long-term foreign direct investment. The strategy document indicated that the government would focus on key policies and priorities as the President Tinubu's administration advances into the second wave of reforms focused squarely on unleashing accelerated economic growth, productivity, and capital formation. Budget Office of the Federation has defended the credibility of Nigeria's recently enacted Tax Reform Acts. A statement signed by Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Dr. Taminu Yakubu, says the office has taken note of concerns raised by the minority caucus of the House of Representatives, stressing that the sanctity of the law is central to constitutional democracy and goes beyond procedural formality. In its defense, the office cautioned against what it's described as governance by speculation and unverified claims following allegations that the laws were altered after passage. And still talking business, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has unveiled an ambitious 2026 agenda centered on mobilizing long-term capital to confront Nigeria's chronic infrastructure deficits. In a New Year message delivered in Abuja, the Commission's Director General, Dr. Emomotimi Yagama, said the Commission will prioritize channeling patient capital into productive sectors like roads, construction, power, rail, housing, and agriculture. The new agenda is coming on the heels of the immediate past year that saw overwhelming reliance by corporates on long and short-term financing instruments such as commercial papers. On the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo has accused Rwanda of killing more than 1,500 civilians in the Congolese east since early December, when the Kigali-backed M23 militia launched a fresh offensive. In a statement, the Congolese government attributed this figure to civil society, confirmed by humanitarian sources and state services. Beyond Africa, Israel says 37 humanitarian agencies supplying aid in Gaza have not met a deadline to meet security and transparency standards, stating that they would be banned from the territory despite an international outcry. The international non-governmental organizations, which had been ordered to disclose detailed information on their Palestinian staff, will now be required to cease operations by March 1 this year.
The United Nations has warned that the action will worsen the humanitarian crisis in the war-ravaged Palestinian territory, with several NGOs saying the requirements contravene international humanitarian law or endanger their independence. Teresa Leibowitz, Deputy Director of Physicians for Human Rights Israel, believes that implementation of these regulations and adding additional obstacles on the affected organizations is part of efforts to weaponize the delivery of aid as part of a broader systemic dismantling of civilian life in Gaza.
On the people of Gaza, it has a direct effect. It means that international organizations that have expertise, that are known around the world for providing humanitarian aid, that have expertise in Gaza itself, that have the trust of the community there, that have connections, will no longer be able to do what they have done.
Israel says the new regulation aims to prevent bodies it accuses of supporting terrorism from operating in the Palestinian territories. A ministry list indicates that prominent humanitarian organizations hit by the ban include Doctors Without Borders, the Norwegian Refugee Council, World Vision International, and Oxfam. In Doctors Without Borders' case, Israel accused it of having 2 employees who were members of Palestinian militant groups Islamic Jihad and Hamas. Uyi Agmofo.
Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro says it is open to negotiating a deal with the United States to combat drug trafficking, while remaining silent on a reported CIA-led strike on his country last week. He made a statement during an interview where he struck a more conciliatory tone towards the U.S. amid Washington's month-long sanctions and military pressure campaign. Maduro also announced the release of more than 80 prisoners accused of protesting his disputed victory in the 2024 election. And let's take a look at sports for you quickly. World record holder Tobi Amuso has kicked off the new year with an amazing feat of being ranked as one of the top 3 athletes in the 100-meter women's hurdles category of the 2025 season. According to a review on the World Athletics official website, the 28-year-old hurdles queen is currently ranked in 3rd place with a total ranking of 1,430 points and a season best time of 12.24 seconds. The federal government has approved the release of 3 billion naira to support Super Eagles' ongoing campaign, reaffirming its commitment to the national team's success on the international stage. The funds are expected to cover players' logistics, technical preparations, match bonuses, and other operational expenses as the team continues its competitive engagements. To end Global TV News Prime tonight, a look again at some of our top stories. The Nigeria Police Force has suspended the nationwide enforcement of the tinted glass permit policy. In business, the federal government has unveiled a major fiscal blueprint aimed at accelerating economic growth. And on the foreign scene, Israel says 37 humanitarian agencies supplying aid in Gaza have not met a deadline to meet security and transparency standards. And finally, in sports tonight, we told you world record holder Tobi Amuso has kicked off the new year with an amazing feat of being ranked as one of the top 3 athletes in the 100-meter women's hurdles category of the 2025 season. We'd like to remind you that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We encourage you to interact, engage, and subscribe across all of our social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG as well as other handles as you now see on your screen. On behalf of my colleagues who have made tonight's news broadcast possible, I am Uyi Agmofwegbe wishing you the best of the weekend. Bye-bye.